Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Bring It On. Continue exploring Caed Nua.
Let's see what lies this way.
Hi?
Okay. Let's finish exploring this floor before we go up the stairs or to the door to the south. Well, that was fast. Let's speak to Mother.
Been out playing soldier again, have we? Go wash up and come help me shuck these peas.
As you draw nearer, the apparition in front of you resolves into an elven woman. Her stringy hair is tied back. She tugs at a loose thread on her apron. There's a distant, hollow look in her eyes until she notices you. A frail smile descends like a veil over her face. She turns from you long enough to produce a basket that, like her, is shimmering and semi-transparent. And no complaints. You've got to eat your vegetables if you want to grow up strong and be a real soldier one day. Just like we agreed, right? She watches you out of the corner of her eye. What are you talking about?
Soldiers are important people. They defend the weak and punish the wicked. You're too young to understand now, but there are lots of wicked people. People like the man who murdered your father.
Her voice rises and falls as she bends over the basket. She sighs, a spectral strand of hair fluttering. She snaps off a shell with a torn fingernail. She crunches another husk between finger and thumb. Remind me what happened to, my father.
Before you were born, the Glanfathans attacked settlers like us. They said we'd knocked over some of their special Adra rocks. That's why they call it the Broken Stone War. They got very angry, and so they came into our villages and killed many people. Your father was one of them.
Her brittle smile snaps. Pot slips out of her grasp. She jabs the side of her finger with the jagged thumbnail. She says nothing as the skin slowly turns from white to red. He was one of the people the Glanfathans killed. That's what I said. Her voice is low and hoarse, and her hand is frozen over the basket. Something dark and empty clouds over her eyes.
That's why you'll be a soldier one day. To protect and to avenge. Why don't you go back out and play? I'll finish up here.
She drops the basket and turns away, dabbing at her face with a corner of her apron. She stares at the trickle of blood on her finger. Alright, before we go this way, let's head upstairs. That's more likely to be a dead end than downstairs. For all we know, downstairs could lead into the bowels of the earth, so. It feels as if cobwebs are the only things holding this rickety old mess together. Something has made a nest out of old straw and mattress ticking.
Steady does it.
And what does the flame reveal? Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
Oh, that was it. So cut across the central chamber and check out the door on the far side.
Hey.
Brave does feel
Yes?
your tail ends him.
Cool. Send the Phantom. Turn the tables on him. Always feels good. Spiders are taking up residence in the empty shelves. Reminds me, my little spider buddy's gone missing. On my back porch, on the railing, we had a spider there for, I don't know, probably a little over a month. Who I wouldn't say befriended, but I've come to know him. I talk to him every time I go outside and walk the dog. Let me read this first, and then I'll continue my story. This map shows the Deerwood's old colonial borders. A settlement called New Dunrid is marked in the place of present-day Defiance Bay. But he's been missing for a couple of days. His web is no longer being kept up, and I haven't seen him. Hopefully he moved on to greener pastures, and it wasn't a bird that got him. But she only came out at night, so I doubt it was a bird. Spiders? Everything reminds me of him.
Hey.
Yes?
I'm stuck over here.
Following your lead.
Oh, so Skeleton's back here for flanking.
Let's go.
Brave thou feel lost you leave.
The silver trails of slugs gleam inside the barrels. Also, we're not fighting phantoms. Let's take this sword off since it debuffs Adair.
Huh? Yes? I shall be discreet.
Alright, we'll use Alon to
Nice
see if
and
there's any
quiet.
hidden goodies inside these cells. Inside spiders.
I shall be discreet.
It's funny, I used to be very scared of spiders. Especially growing up, we got a lot of really big wolf spiders around the house, and I was always terrified of them. Not sure when that stopped. Just did.
Brave thou
That's it!
Okay, so it is keeping us in combat. On to the next.
That's it!
New orders, Lieutenant. Ready your squad.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
And as to how I selected, I was looking at the commander down there.
I shall be
We'll exchange
discreet.
words with him once I'm done scouting out all these cells.
Nice and quiet.
The hotkey for stealth is Alt. I'm always hesitant to press Alt when I'm playing games, because I press Tab a lot to highlight interactable objects.
I shall be discreet.
I was concerned I'm going to Alt-Tab out of the game. This cod is rough with splinters.
Yeah.
Alright, Commander. A spectral man arrayed in armor and an officer's cloak studies a single sheet of paper. He sees straight through it to the ducal and Adiri insignias on his breastplate. He seems to read over the page several times before looking up at you. When he does, his expression is unreadable.
There's been a change of plans. Take your squad and march south all the way to the bow in the river. Bring a wagon team and a dozen barrels of pitch.
His voice falters, and he shakes his head. The hand holding the paper drops to his side. Tell me about the orders.
The instructions come from Admeth Hadred himself, which means they might as well have come from the Duke. We're to burn those hut dwellers out. Set fire to the deerwood so they've nowhere to retreat. Cut them down when they come out. Or let them blaze if they won't.
He rolls the orders into a thin scroll. A ghostly sigh forms a mist in front of his lips.
It'll make this even shorter than the broken stone war, all right. And we can only hope it'll discourage future conflicts.
His mailed fist tightens around the rolled paper, and he looks at you.
I know this is personal for you. It is for many of us. But understand, we're doing this to end this war, not to continue the last one. Remember that we're flushing out the enemy, not burning villages for sport. Bareth will have his work cut out for him tonight.
You feel nothing when his hand drops to your shoulder.
Huh?
Does this end even further into the keep? PS5 mechanics.
We'll take those farmers by surprise.
Alright, let's speak Raider.
Almost time. Di and Heather scouted the village last night. They're rounding up the rest of the party now.
The elven man turns to face you. His cheeks, his forearms, and the cartilage of his long pointed ears are smeared with indigo and blue paints. He grins wickedly beneath a thatch of wild hair. What party?
Don't worry. Everyone remembers the raid was your idea. The Rio had to go along with it after you'd gotten the rest of the clan riled up. No one once had said that the Nine Claws were too cowardly to stand with the rest of the tribe when the foreigners desecrated our ruins.
His phantasmal fist sails through your shoulder. The Rio. Dragon stripes of paint on his face twist as he laughs. You may not like them, but they still are elders. For now. A dead gray tooth pierced from between his lips. That was clever, found the support of the community first. By the time he approached the Rio, they had no choice but to support us. There's no doubt you'll join their ranks one day, as long as no farmer's pitchfork fells you tonight. He laughs.
The tribes need more leaders like you. Women who value deeds over words.
The ghostly warrior gives you a long, covetous look. His semi-transparent eyes blaze as they crawl over you. He reaches toward your cheek but stops midway, his splayed fingers quivering as a tremor of doubt runs through him.
You were right. We were too soft when the foreigners first came, and now they humiliate us. We'll be soft no more, and the invaders will learn to leave us alone once and for all.
He drops his hand to his side instead, drawing a notched blade from his belt. Let's go out this room, and then we'll check out that locked door. An S-Dock. Oh, I aggro them. Alright, let's fight the spiders first. Made him do like 3 backflips in a row. Poor spider never had a chance.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
No. Keep away from us. Leave us!
Hey, I found Maerwald. A large liver-spotted man, barrel-chested and paunchy, cowers in the far corner of the room. His white hair a tangled, stringy mess. He covers his face and chest with trembling hands, unable to look in your direction.
Maybe we should come back later?
Are you Maerwald? He looks up over his hand, the muscles around his eyes twitching, begins whispering to himself in sharp hisses, as though having an argument. All at once he stops shaking, a sudden calmness falling over him. His head tilts forward slightly. He looks you dead in the eye, like a cornered animal about to pounce. His voice turns suddenly raspy.
Maerwald isn't here, and he isn't fooled. He has sent for no callers. Be gone, deceiving spirit!
I won't leave until I've spoken to Maerwald.
Maerwald will speak with you, but you will maintain your distance, or you'll have me to answer to.
The old man turns his body away and has another muttered, sputtering argument facing the wall. When he turns back toward you, he has taken a confident stance, and his chest is puffed out like a soldier's. A new strength enters his voice.
Come to speak to Maerwald. Maerwald whose touch is poison. Maerwald who knows not his effect.
The man's posture folds, and the hands he'd held strongly at his sides a moment ago resume their original tremors. His voice is feeble and tentative. I was told I am a watcher, that you could tell me more about it. And about a tablet of some worth after that. Once you two are finished, of course.
A window. Window to the ether, where spirits dwell. Peer and reach into it. Speak and listen through it. A watcher sees souls, reads them, knows their pasts, souls of the living, souls of the dead, an empath, and the souls see them back. Used it to help beings in both realms, did I. What the gods wanted of me, thought I.
He nods, still half distracted, eyeing the door behind you. He exhales feebly, his breath wheezing.
The gods put me in the world for vengeance, and I obliged.
The quick spasm, his shoulders straighten, and his voice becomes strong.
It was the gods' wishes that we protect those lands. My way was the only way to remove the foreigners.
He tilts his head forward, glowering at you, and his voice is raspy.
Little I knew.
He shrinks down, and is himself once more. He cradles his face in shaking hands. I was accosted by spirits on my way here. What do they want?
No. No! Forgive me! Forgive me!
Maerwald staggers backward, staring off at some imagined phantom. He covers his mouth with his hand, his breaths convulsing, his eyes red and exhausted. You seem to have lost your mind.
Lost? No. Found more of it. Too much. Too much to bear. An awakening.
Elas' eyes narrow as he looks at the old man. How could a simple awakening have driven you to this? You mean you remember your past lives?
Something reminds. Memories stirred. Memories before birth. Other bodies. Other times.
He nods.
Memory. Personality. Identity. Any might resurface. Or all.
He looks again at the door behind you. And I seem to be having a conversation with several of them right now.
Ghosts of the mind. Maerwald has lost control. Maerwald's body no more.
He nods, sheepish. The spirits I passed, what are they?
Spirits and not spirits.
always whispering to Maerwald, reminding him of his mistakes. No sleep. Watchers see memories before them, form them from the essence of their own souls. Once Maerwald awakened, he could not make them leave. Gave them more form, not less.
The spirits are memories from previous lives.
Troubled memories, angry memories, pulling Maerwald back, reminding him his mistakes. Marauder and soldier, soldier and marauder, how could they know?
How do you tell a spirit from a memory?
Fragmented are memories, stuck in time, mindless, cruel, never far.
Why do these past lives still trouble you?
My fault. All my fault. Soldier and marauder, soldier and marauder and Maerwald. No forgiveness for what's past. No undoing what's done. No sleep. No sleep for the Watcher.
Alright, so there's 3 people present in him. You have the soldier, who I assume is the commander that we saw. The marauder is the raider we spoke to. And there's Maerwald himself. Who's the mother then? He looks at you, baggy-eyed and lost.
War there was all around. War of stone, war of tree.
He's talking about 2 different wars, fought back to back. Long time ago. The Broken Stone War and the War of Black Trees. These were conflicts between locals and settlers getting out of hand. Both of them. Some folks are still mad about what one side did to the other.
Death we brought to the settler men. We, the 9 claws. Claws of 9. Worse what we did to the women. For love of the gods. The gods' love. For their love.
I met one of your memory spirits. There was talk of raiding a village. Maerwald's voice becomes raspy, and he is somewhere else in place and time, speaking to someone unseen.
Hold her down. Head her. Give this Addy a bitch an heir that belongs in Air Gladfath.
Maerwald cringes, himself again, watching something he can't bear to see, shaking his head over and over. He wails. His soul is marked by flame. Those marks will never heal. His trial has broken him, but better that than to live in weakness. Terrible things happen in war. Living with what you've done is its own penance.
The boy. The boy. The baby boy. The boy. Conceived in the raid. Conceived by force. Vessel for marauder. Slain in the raid. Marauder and the boy. Marauder and soldier.
His voice thins to a cracking whisper. A baby conceived by the raider. What do you mean it was a vessel for him?
For the soul. Marauder's soul. Same soul. One soul. Boy's soul. Marauder's soul. Raised in lies and vengeance. Raised to soldier. Raised for the fire. Born for the fire.
So the mother was the victim of the raid. And that was his mother I met in the keep. She told him his father was killed by the raiders.
You'll get no pity from me. The crimes of the Nine Claws clan in the last war are still unavenged. But the gods are just. They have led me here. In my father's name, every one of you will burn. Light it.
Maerwald straightens up, his voice deep. He speaks to some invisible thing. He looks off to his side, as if it's someone else standing nearby. What? So he came back in his next life to burn his own clan. No wonder he's such a mess now. now staining right down to your soul. Maerwald's shoulders slump. He rocks back and forth, agitated. He mutters to himself, oblivious to your presence.
Soldier and marauder, lies and vengeance, and dead villages. All dead. All dead. What for? What for?
He looks at you. I see no reason, just bad luck.
How little we know.
He shakes his head bitterly. I've seen apparitions like those elsewhere, since I became a watcher.
Oh, no, 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 no. You too. You too.
Tears well in Maerwald's eyes. All at once, in spite of his abject misery, his expression changes to one of utmost sympathy. Poor man. Poor man.
They will take you too.
I knew there was something off about you when I met you, but this sounds serious. You're saying I'll end up like you.
So fragile the Watcher's mind. So real his memories. Once awakened, how can he sleep?
He pouts, as though holding his mouth closed so that the answer won't escape. At length, he nods. If I'm awakened to a past life, how would that have happened?
You were reminded of it. Strong memories, lingering lives, they dwell near the surface, waiting to be remembered, waiting to take your mind for their own. Maerwald sat at his hearth and watched his fire, watched the wood burn. Then came the memory of another fire and burning wood and screams.
His face trembles involuntarily. There must be some way to make these memories go away.
No. Always there. Always remembered. Can't forget. Can't unsee.
I didn't just remember. Someone caused this. They wore masks and spoke of books and keys and a queen. There was a man there. He seemed familiar to me.
Keys of lead. Books of burden. Queens that were. Known to me are they. The leaden key.
The leaden key. It seems we share an enemy, Donald. Assassins and Watcher Wakers both. They certainly keep busy. What can you tell me about this leaden key?
Secrets. Secrets and deceptions and schemes. Who knows their answers? Not they. Not they. Crossed them before. Hatred of Watchers. Hatred and fear. Much we see. Threat to secrets.
Who is this queen they pray to?
Woodica. Goddess. Crown shattered and body burned. Binder of oaths and grudge holder. Bearer of justice. But whose?
If the leaden key caused my awakening, did they undo it?
Many secrets do they keep. Unawakened? Mayhap. Who else if not they?
Maerwald's bushy white eyebrows edge upward. He begins muttering to himself. Just as you are about ready to repeat your questions, he speaks. Do you know where I might find the leaden key?
City of Defiance. Never far from the Queen.
I need to go so I can search for this man from the leaden key.
Sleep well. Sleep well.
Maerwald nods at you, a look of understanding on his face.
Hold! I know your will die. Your actions were seen. You would sooner betray us to the Adia land thieves than take orders from me.
Before you turn to exit, he tilts his head forward. His eyes lock with yours, cold and dangerous, his voice gravelly. I'm leaving.
Your betrayal is for nothing. Your warnings are lost on these foreigners, and their blood will be Gallowayne's tribute this night. I have asked the elders for the honor of claiming your head as my first trophy, and they have granted it. Beg for the Seeker God to grant you a quick death.
Pray without blood, believe.
Okay, so this one doesn't only affect enemies. I think instead we'll do... Let's do this instead and go and blind them. And hope that he doesn't die. Hang in there, buddy. I'd love for this flame blight to go down, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Alright, consecrated ground. Go and heal up Adair. Slinging spells at Maerwald himself because we were taking a beating. Skeleton's back here as well. Alright, endurance is down. That was expected based on what I've seen here. I need to do something to control Maerwald a bit. He is doing a lot of work.
Following you.
Let's see, he's immune to that. Let's see. Alright, let's take this guy out. Go knock him down again, and... I'll have to rest after this fight. We still have a fair bit to explore. There's a change in the air of the keep. What was thick and suffocating feels to you somehow more breathable, as though yielding to a conquering invader. Maerwald's body lies inert. You can feel his soul lingering there, uncertain. There's something unique about this soul in this place. A bond formed in decades of inhabitants, and lordship that feels somehow palpable to you, as though even in death, the keep knows its former master, and the former master remembers his keep. In your mind's eye, bond seems to you as frayed rope, ghostly and alive. Its frayed ends writhing like tide pool anemones. You find that if you concentrate on it, you have the ability to manipulate its strands. So I'm a little split on this. I feel like I should allow his soul to leave. But repair sounds better. Like if you're repairing something, that's for the better. So 1 or 2. Don't really care for 3. Let's do 1. Repair the rope. Finding Maerwald's soul here is an eternal warden. The frayed pieces twist and fuse. As the bond strengthens, the fibers become metal. The rope becomes a chain. Oh, that doesn't sound good. You watch as Maerwald's soul recedes into the floor, melting with it, spreading thin across it until it is one with the entire place. A silent guardian.
Yeah.
Hey, Stronghold's gained 2 security. Got his Grimoire, which has spells we've seen before. Well, Spirit Shield is new. Plus 3 damage reduction, plus 33 concentration. Did I say 33? Plus 30 concentration for 45 seconds. Becomes the caster with a shield of spirit energy, granting an increased damage reduction and concentration bonus. Console Halt's Corrosive Siphon. Drains 51.1 corrode damage as endurance over 10 seconds. Eats away at the target spirit, inflicting corrosive damage and converting that essence into endurance for the caster. Bulwark against the elements, plus 15 damage reduction versus burn, shock, corrode, and freeze for 60 seconds. Creates a mystical shield around the caster, suffusing them with bonuses to burn, freeze, corrode, and shock damage reductions. And Fireball. Does some burn damage, summons a flaming ball of molten earth that explodes as a targeted location, causing burn damage to all in the area of effect. Fantastic. Grab that and give it to Aloth. How did I discover to read these? Alright, maybe we'll do that next time.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah, I'm not going to read anything in here yet. I'm going to call the episode here. And the next one we will finish exploring down here and just keep on trekking. Odd that he's right there beside the entrance. Wonder what else we're going to find. By the way, for now, I'm going to call it here. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.